the problem is that you get paid too much. I mean, it's just enough to be too much. You know what I mean? Where you go, "Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
can kind of do the things I want to do," and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're in a position where you go, I, I this is you should take risks the younger you are, because the risks are cheaper when you're younger.
Yeah.
When you've got a $7,000 a month mortgage and you got a $1,500 a month car payment or whatever the hell you got going on, that's an expensive risk. But so starting at zero isn't necessarily the worst thing, because it's easy to recover. When
Well,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I've got a friend who, an entrepreneur, sort of an independent contractor, kind of,
Right.
but he ended up buying this guy out, and because that's the business that he knew, he's
Right.
always working, and I go, man, and I was talking to him. He goes, yeah, but I can't. I've created. How did he say that? A very expensive lifestyle.
Yeah.
So just like you said, and he's got
Can't take
now,
risks now.
yeah, he's got a place. He's got three homes, yeah,
Mhm.
and cars and
And
kids, and
kids
he's
and
like, I can't do anything,
can't risk it.
besides
Yep.
this.
Right.
And how many people over the course of time too, like when we're looking for people, and they go, and so what we'll often do is we pay a lot on performance. So we'll
Right.
go, look, we'll give you, you want this much, right? You want that much. That'll make you happy, right? Oh yeah, that's it. Well, we pay this much, but we give the opportunity to make this much. And
Hmm.
they go, I can't afford to do that
Right.
because,
I'm stuck.
I have to make this amount of money. I go, well, that's not my fault.
Right.
I can help you make this amount of money,
Right.
but it's uncertain, right? Because they don't know if they're going to succeed or not. So they're willing to just take enough to be able to stay in their expensive rut,
Right.
whatever the cost is. But it's almost it's every time I've ever run across that, it's just, like you said, it's just enough. It's
Hmm.
just, if they make a little bit less, they're going to take on water, and they don't
Right.
know if they're going to be able to survive.
Right.
It's like, no, and they hate it. They don't, and the more they have to do it, the more they dislike it. It's like,
Well, and people
man,
do more
it's
to avoid loss than they do gain. It's like, all right, you
yeah,
got to have the right mindset going into this. Like, okay, because I don't know if it was if it was earlier, if a couple of days ago, you said that people are always the game should almost be is how quickly can I retire. I'm not saying you have to, but the game should be how quickly. Because see, I like choices. I like to have choices. I like to wake up every day and go, I can either decide to continue on with this, or I can decide to do something completely different. And but the only way you get to the those choices is you have to make good decisions. You have to make good choices on the way there, right? And get into something that can support that lifestyle. If I'm a forest ranger, if I leave forestry, then I better get into something that can either match or surpass that revenue. I don't have choices. I can't just go out and go, hey, I'm going to start my own business where I have zero revenue coming in and I got to come up with this plan because I need all my money to survive. It's like, yeah, that's not a good spot to be in. And get into things that have, like, we love the residual income game, and that's what
yeah,
every one of our sales partners will tell you in this in our deal is they go, I love the fact that every time I make a sale, I am increasing my monthly revenue with residual income, because some of them take their foot off the accelerator, some push it down even harder because they know it's easy to push down the accelerator when you know you have choices. It's hard when you know you don't have choices. You're like, I'm stuck.
yeah.
I
Well,
should
and
not
whether it's going to
better.
work, right?
Right.
Because passive income starts at zero, and so if
Mm-hmm.
somebody's making 8,000, so let's say whatever the number is, $7,000 a month, you go, okay, $7,000 a month, so you're making 84 grand a year,
Mm-hmm.
and so and you're probably, the chance of you ever making more than that, you might make a little bit more. Most people advance about twice in life, and that's it. And
Right.
so, and that's where they level off, and they that's it. There's really no incentive to work any harder, because
Right.
it's the chances of making more, and the chances of advancing. So somebody has to on the corporate ladder or something, uh, um, so there's not a lot of incentive, and so then you get stuck. You start spending 7 grand a month, and
Mm-hmm.
then you look at something like this, or anything where they go passive income, that everybody wants it, but that means I have to start at zero, and I
Right.
can't afford to start at zero.
Right.
And so even though you can get to the point where your $7,000 a month and more
Hmm.
is coming in, whether you work or not, it's that that rut, that 7 grand rut that you're in, that you can't go to zero because you don't you have all the 7 grand rut that you have to
Hmm.
pay for every month, and you're not certain how long it's going to take to get to 7 grand in passive income, and it's
Right.
probably not going to be overnight. It's because I don't even know how to do it, so it starts slow.
Right.
But back to you're talking about, you see it on our, around on our website and videos, and people that work with us, and these people are making 7 8 grand a
Hmm.
month, and 15,000 and $25,000 a month, and that's a the if you're making 7 8 grand, your $84,000 is covered.
Right.
And so now you can decide, I want to add some more, I don't want to add some
Hmm.
more. You back to your choices. And the person that continued to mash on the pedal, I remember the one of them I'm thinking about, who now makes like twice that. Uh, he wanted, his goal was 7 grand a month because he
Hmm.
had to replace
His
some
last
other income,
deal. You know.
and yeah, and now he makes twice that, and he's just, he just chuckles like, I can't, even if I stopped working for 2 months, I'd still make
Hmm.
$30,000.
Hmm.
And all he ever wanted to make was 7 grand a month.
Right.
And now he doubles that, and he's like, this is crazy. And it doesn't come overnight. You have to build it, and you think of somebody making 25 grand, and the first person I think of that makes 25 grand used to have to work 6.5 days a week to make 60,000 a year,
Hmm.
and now he makes 300,000 working almost, a day a week,
Hmm.
and maybe it's a couple hours a day over the course of a week, but as it's but they made that choice because they looked at, I think that, I don't know what each one did, but I
Right.
know me, I looked at life and I go, okay, what's the style of life I want? I'm willing to grind this out and build
Hmm.
this to build freedom. Basically, you're building freedom, right? All you're doing is building a thing called freedom, and everybody wants it, but it's it's not what, I think they just step into it and recreate what they have, and it's
Yeah.
like that, but it's
Well, I don't
not
think
like
they
that.
know.
It's not.
I
Yeah,
think
they
they
don't
just
know.
don't know how to do it. So, if you have an opportunity to get with someone who does know how to do it and has shown multiple people how to do it, that's kind of the road you should be going down. I mean, it's really
Yeah,
hard to invent something or come up with something from scratch and get there, right? Because most things
yeah,
nowadays have been thought of. Unless you're in your underoos writing code in the basement and you come up with some fancy, freaking deal, you're probably not going to come. It's just not going to happen. So
yeah.
there's opportunities out there. You gotta.
You got to get with,
You,
right. You got to get with, or you don't got to, but you really save a lot of time. You
yeah.
save a lot of time, save a lot of steps, increase your speed. You go
Hmm.
with a guide.